Hey guys, welcome back. DripCoach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify and operate with integrity and transparency. In this eye-opening video, 12 years ago, a 12-year-old by the name of Victoria Grant explores and explains how the Canada economy is shaped by the partnership between the Canadian bank and private banks and the cycle of debt and inflation. So we're going to discover how BTC offers a potential solution to this financial entrapment and the Canada economy, as well as other economies around the world. So stay tuned. Now, of course, this is not new for any of you guys, but this specifically reference the Canada economy, but literally every central bank and government does this exact same thing. So this is, I'm going to play the video from her, but it's striking like how informed she is. This is a 12-year-old, literally 12 years ago. And the reason it came up is like I saw this circling around my feed on X, and I saw the video there and I watched it, and then I had to do some research because I was like, who is this girl? Where's she at? Blah, 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 blah. And realized it was 12 years ago. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is a great explanation. So what I did is I'm gonna play the video for you guys. And then I got 2 additional clips that I threw into an AI video generator. And I wanna know from you guys which generator you think does it better, because I'm thinking about adding that to my content in the future. So all I did was take Victoria's actual transcription and then throw it into the AI and let them come up with their own way of explaining this with some visual details, things of that nature. So you'll see 2 different versions. I just want to know in the comments below which one you think is better. It has watermarks and everything on it, but just for the purpose of this, it's just compare this and that. But first, let's get to Victoria's speech, so to speak.
The Canadian people. So how are they robbing us? Allow me to explain how our private banks and government work today. First, the Canadian government borrows money from the private banks. They then lend the debt-based money to Canada with compounded interest. The government then continues to increase taxation of Canadians year after year in order to pay back the interest on the exponentially growing national debt. What results is inflation, less real money for Canadians to spend into our economy, and the real money being used to pad the pockets of the banks. Also, the government gave the banks the ability to loan out money that doesn't exist in the form of loans. When a bank gives you a mortgage, which literally means a death pledge, or a loan, they don't actually give you money. They click a key on a computer and generate the fake money out of thin air. They don't actually have it in their bank vaults. Presently, the banks only have $4 billion on reserve, but they have loaned out over $1.5 trillion. To quote Graham Towers, each and every time a bank makes a loan, a new bank credit is created. New deposits, brand new money. Broadly speaking, all new money comes out of a bank in the form of loans. As loans are debt, then under the present system, all money is debt. What I find interesting is even Jesus, in Matthew 21, drove out the money changers in the temple because they were manipulating the currency to steal money from the people. The private banks are just like the money changers in Matthew 21. They are defrauding and robbing the people of Canada, thus their freedom, and they need to be stopped. How should the banking system work? In an infamous interview, Mr. McGeer asked Mr. Towers, "Can you tell me why a government with power to create money should give that power away to a private monopoly and then borrow that which Parliament can create itself back at interest to the point of national bankruptcy?" Mr. Towers replied, "If Parliament wants to change the form of operating the banking system, then certainly that is within the powers of Parliament. In other words, if the Canadian government needs money, they can borrow it directly from the Bank of Canada. The people would then pay fair taxes to repay the Bank of Canada. This tax money would in turn get injected back into our economic infrastructure and the debt would be wiped out. Canadians would again prosper with real money as a foundation of our economic structure and not debt money. Regarding the debt money owed to the private banks, such as the Royal Bank, we would simply have the Bank of Canada print the money owing, hand it over to the private banks, and then clear the debt with the Bank of Canada. And yes, we have the power and lawful right to do so. In conclusion, it has become painfully obvious, even for me, a 12-year-old Canadian, that we are being defrauded and robbed by the banking system and a complicit government. What will we do to stop this crime? What will we do to ensure that the next generation will live free and clear of the debt-based economy that enslaves them to the banks? Margaret Mead said the following, and I hope that all of you remember this. Never doubt that a small group of people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Thank you.
Boom. You should have dropped the mic, but it was attached to the podium. That is insane, like super detailed explanation of like the banking system. And again, it's not just Canada. It is literally all over the world. So now I want to play again the same thing, but from Veed.io. So I want to know between this one and the next one, which one you think would be better for content on my channel if I started using this service.
The relationship between the Canadian government and private banks is a complex web that significantly impacts our economy and daily lives. At its core, this partnership is responsible for the creation of debt and inflation, which ultimately affects us all. Let's break it down. The government needs money to fund public services, infrastructure, and social programs. Traditionally, it raises funds through taxes. But when tax revenues fall short, the government turns to private banks for loans. This is where the cycle begins. The banks lend money to the government, and in return, the government issues bonds. But here's the catch. Every dollar the government borrows adds to the national debt, which we, the taxpayers, will eventually have to pay back with interest. Now, what happens when the government borrows more? The money supply increases, leading to inflation. Inflation is not just a buzzword, it erodes our purchasing power. When prices rise, our hard-earned dollars buy less. This is particularly tough for low and middle-income families who already struggle to make ends meet. And let's not forget about the impact on taxes. As the government grapples with rising debt and inflation, it often resorts to increasing taxes. This creates a vicious cycle where we pay more in taxes while facing higher prices for goods and services. It's frustrating, isn't it? We work hard, yet the system seems rigged against us. But what if there was a different way? Imagine a system where the government has direct control over money creation. Instead of borrowing from private banks, the government could create money itself, interest-free. This could allow for more investment in public services without the burden of debt. It could mean lower taxes and less inflation, leading to a healthier economy for everyone. This isn't just a pipe dream. Countries like Canada have the potential to adopt a model where the government manages money creation responsibly. By doing so, we could break free from the cycle of debt and inflation that currently plagues us. It's time to rethink our financial system. We need to advocate for a model that prioritizes the well-being of citizens over the profits of private banks. A system where money serves the people, not the other way around. The change is possible, but it starts with us demanding a new approach to how we manage our economy. Let's push for a future where our financial system works for everyone, not just a select few.
All right. And lastly, in videos version.
The Illusion of Money, a Canadian story. Have you ever stopped to wonder where money comes from? How does the Canadian government get the funds to build roads, hospitals, and schools? Most Canadians believe in a simple story. We pay taxes. The government uses those taxes to fund public services. But this story is incomplete. It's an illusion that hides a powerful truth about our economic system. The reality is far more complex and unsettling. The Canadian government does collect taxes, but these alone are not enough to cover its expenses. To bridge the gap, the government borrows money. And who do they borrow from? Private banks. These institutions, driven by profit, lend money to the government, creating a system where we are perpetually in debt. The debt spiral, government borrowing and its consequences. This borrowing comes at a cost interest. When the government borrows money from private banks, it promises to pay back the principal plus interest. This interest payment is a significant burden on the national budget. Where does the government get the money to pay this interest? From us, the taxpayers. This creates a vicious cycle. The government borrows more, the interest payments increase, and taxpayers are left footing the bill. This system traps us in a spiral of debt, limiting the government's ability to invest in essential public services and stifling economic growth. The invisible hand in your pocket. How inflation devalues your savings. But the story doesn't end there. The process of government borrowing from private banks has another insidious consequence: inflation. When the government borrows money, it increases the money supply. More money in circulation means that the value of each dollar decreases. This is inflation. Inflation is like a hidden tax that erodes the value of our savings. The money we worked hard to earn buys less and less over time. Meanwhile, the banks that lent the money to the government in the first place profit from the interest payments, further widening the gap between the rich and the poor. Money out of thin air, the magic of fractional reserve banking. The most shocking part of this story is how banks create money. They don't need to have actual cash reserves to lend out. Through a system called fractional reserve banking, they can create new money simply by making loans. As economist Graham Towers, the first governor of the Bank of Canada, famously said, "Banks create money, they create credits." The manufacturing process is very simple. It is as easy as writing up the figures in a book. This new money created out of thin air further fuels the debt cycle and contributes to inflation. Reclaiming our power, a solution for a just and sustainable future. This system is not inevitable, it is a choice. We can choose to break free from this cycle of debt and inflation. How? By reclaiming the power to create money from private banks and returning it to the people. Imagine a system where the Canadian government borrows directly from the Bank of Canada, a public institution accountable to the people. Without the burden of interest payments to private banks, the government could invest in essential services, create jobs, and build a more equitable and sustainable future. This is not a radical idea. It is a return to common sense and sound economic principles. It is time to demand a change. We need to challenge the status quo, educate ourselves and others, and push for a monetary system that works for the many, not just the few. The future of our country depends on it.
All right, let me know in the comments below which platform you think did it best. And I'll be looking at doing some videos like this in the future where I create the scripts and then AI does the rest. So let me know what you think about this and what you think about the banking, monetary policies and procedures and the way that Victoria Grant explained it, because I think I'm going to do more like educational stuff on this because, man, this is the cycle to wake up and see the opportunity before us with Bitcoin. All right, smash that HBO special, help brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, live daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.
Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? SPRITZ Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real-world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now.